Richard had ran across the street, had confronted a lady who was about to get into her car on the street and basically tried to carjack her car. I guess he made some threats to her and demanded that she turn over her car keys. The husband of this female victim comes out of his house because their car was parked directly in front of their home. And she ran to him and he ran to her, and she told him he tried to steal my car, and he is the one that came out of his yard, grabbed that metal pipe, and began chasing Richard down the street. As the man with the pipe started chasing him, the original victim of the car that he was trying to steal across the street, the Mustang, had yelled out for his sons to come out and help him because somebody was trying to steal their car. So together they surmised that Richard was a problem and he was running away, and they all chased him together and eventually caught him a few houses down from where he tried to steal the cars. And that's where they knocked him down, they hit him with a pipe because Richard was trying to leave and escape, and they basically held him at bay and threatened that if he got up, they were going to hit him.
And I began to search him. Richard Ramirez is sweating. He had been running for a long distance. And so when I touched him, he was all wet. And plus he had blood on his, bleeding from his head.
Remember, he was drenched in sweat. He was breathing heavily, taking large breaths of air.
He hooked him up, handcuffed him. Then about a minute later, we come along, and so we're just kind of figuring out what we had. Kept telling him, that's Richard Ramirez. He didn't believe me. He says, that's not Richard. And I said, yeah, that's the Night Stalker. And so then the ambulance showed up, and then some other police cars showed up, and then all of a sudden, it's like the neighborhood started coming alive. Everybody's coming out saying, hey, that's Richard Ramirez. That's the Night Stalker. We turn around, there's like 1,000 people standing around, and people are saying, let's get him. Somebody should shoot him. And
if I lose control of this crowd, there's a good likelihood they're going to take him from the car because they were convinced it was him, even though I had no specific facts that it was him. But the crowd behaved and were, conducting themselves as though it was him. So I could just notice the hostility in the crowd.
I don't know if they would have killed him, but they would have been something would have happened, and I'm not sure whether they killed him or he would have been lynched, seriously injured.
So, well, my partner and I both agreed that, in his best interest, we needed to put him in our car because our car was parked where we could drive away. We weren't boxed in. And to get him away from that location as quickly as possible, get him away from this hostile crowd that was building. He leaned out the car and he was sick to his stomach and he threw up, and it was green. And I remember thinking, man, this is just like The Exorcist. This person is just evil. I was expecting him to spin his head around. I'll tell you what, after this episode with Richard, I truly, truly believe that the devil is alive and well, and evil Richard was a manifestation of this. And, I've looked straight in the eye of just absolute evil, and it's, you walk away from it changed.